Alright, welcome back to lecture 3. We're looking at our second half of the lecture here. We left off with song form, the blues form, the 12-bar blues, and the pop song form, that 32-bar song form. And now we're going to delve deeper into what improvisation is all about and why jazz musicians do it. So, one of the reasons that jazz musicians choose to improvise, it's a tool that can be used to extend the song. So instead of playing the melody maybe once or twice through and ending the song there, what jazz musicians will do is they will state the melody through the first chorus. Again, we were talking about form here, where one time through the melody is considered a chorus. They would play the melody once through, and then depending upon the amount of players and the type of song and other things like that, they would choose to do some improvisation. It could be a couple choruses, 2, 3, 4, and again, depending upon how many musicians, that also might be limited to, where you might have the trumpet do one chorus, maybe a trombone player do one chorus, and so on. And we're going to talk more specifically about that in a second here, as far as how they would choose what choruses to take and stuff. Also, why jazz musicians choose to improvise, it gives the soloist an opportunity to compose on the spot. So you have a song, a piece that has been composed that has a melody on it, and now with the soloist, what they are doing is they are taking that accompaniment and they are going to rewrite what you just heard melodically to something different. They're composing right on the spot. Sometimes, you know, they might have practiced beforehand, getting used to the chord progression or getting used to how the melody flows, its shape, its range, and things like that. But for the most part, what makes a really good jazz musician is their ability to, on the spot, come up with something new. And the really great jazz musicians can do that really good. Next, for improvisation, it creates an aesthetic component. So we were talking before about creating voice or mood, and with a jazz musician, what they're trying to do is they're trying to develop their own voice through this method of creation. They might be setting up a specific mood depending upon what the song is about and where they're playing at. And, you know, they could be creating a happy mood, a sad mood, or things like that. So, again, they're trying to create an aesthetic component to the song. And probably the most important thing for improvisation, it is central to what makes jazz music jazz music. Jazz music is the only type of music that you will probably find this type of compositional tool, immediate compositional tool, improvisation, at its largest extent. You might hear solos in music that you hear today. Rock music is a good example, where you might hear a guitar solo or something like that. But this was definitely the first time that you heard it in music, and it was used to a great extent. Okay, now the mechanics of improvisation. Improv ideas are based upon the harmonic progression of the song, like I kind of hinted to earlier. We have a melody that was created on top of a certain chord structure, and the melody sounded correct because it fit the notes within that chord structure. So now the person doing the improvisation has to follow some rules and also follow that same harmonic progression. They can't just choose notes willy-nilly. They still have to follow that same harmonic progression that has been set up when they played the melody. As far as compositional techniques, the roles will vary between the soloist and the ensemble. The ensemble tries to stick with the harmonic progression that has been set, but it will also listen to the soloist. A great ensemble will do this, where the soloist may decide to venture off a little bit and choose a melody that might be hinting at a different type of harmonic progression or a substitution where they take in one chord and they substitute another that could kind of fit but doesn't quite fit what the melody might be. And what has to happen with the ensemble is they have to have a keen sense of knowing what's going on with the soloist, and if they decide to do that, the ensemble kind of has to follow that route, which leads us to our next point here. Improvisation is a democratic discussion with the soloist being the chief. So we have all these ideas being shared with the ensemble playing the chord progression. You might have the piano player doing a little hinting of some melodic content, but the soloist is the chief, and that chief decides where they're going to go in that song as far as creating new melodies and things like that, and the others will have to kind of agree with what's going on, but they also share in that too. So if they feel that the chief isn't quite going anywhere, if they're kind of stuck, they might hint at, hey, check out this, maybe you want to go this way with your melody, things like that. So it's kind of a discussion, a democratic discussion. The drummer lays a rhythmic foundation, and they try to stay consistent. They might pay really close attention to what the soloist is doing and may hint at different things or comment on different things that the soloist does with, different beats or different uses of cymbals or drums or things like that. Next, the bass, they lay the foundation, the harmonic foundation. They're the ones that kind of keep track and control of where the harmonic progression is going. And then finally, the piano player, or any other chord instrument that might be taking the piano's place, is the translator for the soloist. So their job is to listen to what the soloist is doing, and then if the soloist seems to be going in a slightly different direction, what they have to do is they have to translate the chords that they were playing following the song structure and the melodic content that was set up, and they have to translate it and go in a different fashion and kind of hint this to the bass player and the drummer as well. They fill the harmonic structure that the soloist is implying, and again, by either following the song form or they follow the player with new different chords. Okay, now we've got here different focuses. Number one, improvisation. It focuses on the soloist. So when the melody is first played, the focus may be more on the whole band and how the whole band sounds together and how the groove is being set up. And once that melody has been played, it is then the ensemble's job to kind of take a back seat and let the soloist kind of take over, because the soloist is going to be doing some on-the-spot composition. If you've got a really good ensemble, then you can do the next focus here, and the focus would be on interaction. So for instance, you have, say, a trumpet doing a very mellow and slow type of solo. To accompany this, you may have a piano player playing very sparsely, a bass player playing very sparsely, and the drummer playing really quiet to kind of highlight what's going on. If the trumpet player starts to play some faster notes or play louder, what should happen is then the ensemble should kind of follow that, where the trumpet's playing loud. Obviously it would make sense for the ensemble to kind of follow them and play loud as well. And that's just one level of interaction. You also have more deeper levels of interaction if you got a really good ensemble going, where I had mentioned earlier that you might have a soloist hinting at a specific song or lick from another song, and then you might have, like, say, the drummer doing a little tip of the hat cue to reinforce that, or the same thing with the piano player, things like that. So at a deeper level, you can also have a focus on interaction. Now, as far as soloing, who can solo? Everyone in the group can solo. It's not just necessarily the woodwinds or the brass or the reed instruments up front that are doing the soloing. They're the ones that might be doing the introduction to the melody, but anyone in the group can solo. So if you had a group that had a trumpet player, a piano player, a bass player, and a drummer, all four of those players could solo. And yes, drums are included in this too. They can solo as well. And sometimes what you might find happening is, to make things a little bit more consistent here, because you might notice that with a bass player or a drummer it'd be a little harder to figure out what's happening melodically. They use different techniques so the listener doesn't get lost, and maybe even the ensemble doesn't get lost, or they do what's called trading fours or trading eights. Now, we had mentioned in song form earlier that the blues progression is based upon an AAB form or a 4+4+4 form. And that's kind of where this comes into play, trading fours. So what could happen is you could have, like, say, the trumpet player playing the first four measures of a blues form. Then you could have the drummer playing the second four measures of a blues form. And then you could have the piano player playing the next four measures of the blues form to finish up that first course of the blues. Now, usually when you hear trading fours, that would probably fit more so into a blues progression and maybe not so much into a 32-bar progression, although that is possible. And then trading eights would obviously mean that you would have to have some kind of form set up where you would have the breakdown in eights and not in fours. And like we have learned earlier, this is found in the 32-bar pop song form, which each section, A, A, B, A, are based upon 8 measures. So in this case, you might find the trumpet player playing 8 bars, the piano player playing the second 8 bars, maybe the drummer taking the bridge, which is the third set of 8 bars, and then the piano player playing the fourth or the last set of 8 bars. So you got trading eights. And what we're going to do now is go back to an example that I used earlier with, if I can drag this into my screen here, with Billie Holiday.